All right. Good evening. The evening is still young. Yeah. I'm the new teacher, yeah. But now we have to go back to the warmth of friendship. It's sweet to be with your old friends. So let me read you a little poem which brings in Hannah and Martine. It's called Loafing with Friends at Ojo Caliente. That's the hot, what do you call it, hot springs down near where they are. Mineral pools remember a lot about history. Here we are at Ojo Caliente, sitting together, soaking up the rumble of Earth's forgetfulness. I saved the whole poem for that line. Soaking up the rumble of Earth's forgetfulness. Why should we worry if the snow prince ends badly? The world is reborn each time a mouse puts her foot down on the dusty barn floor. Sometimes ohs and ahs bring us joy. Can you feel it when they're singing? Sometimes ohs and ahs bring us joy. When you place your life inside the vowels, the music opens the doors to 100 closed nights. When you put your life inside the vowels, the music opens the doors to 100 closed nights. People say that even in the highest heavens, if you managed to keep your ears open, you would hear angels weeping night and day. It's not only on this earth that there's weeping. People say that even in the highest heaven, if you managed to keep your ears open, you would hear angels weeping night and day. The culture of the Etruscans has disappeared. So many things are over. 1,000 hopes that Hans Christian Andersen had for himself are gone. Try to bring in a Dane whenever you can. You know? No one thinks about them anymore. So the last stanza says, no one is as lucky as those who live on earth. Even the Pope finds himself longing for darkness. The sun catches on fire in the lonely heavens. No one is as lucky as those who live on earth. Even the Pope finds himself longing for darkness. The sun catches on fire in the lonely heavens. So that's a poem for Hannah and Martine. Where is Martine right now? He's done some great teaching this week, as every week. Yeah, please. Right. Enough jabber. You want to hear a poem? All right, I'll give you one. This is, as you know, as a guzzle, and the advantage of it is that you can put in a different subject or new idea in every stanza. But that's the grief of it, too. Adam agreed the ocean would be the home of salt. We all understood our souls would hang by a thread. God agreed the pearl would be out of our hands. Adam agreed the ocean would be the home of salt. Are we talking about weeping? We all understood our souls would hang by a thread. God agreed the pearl would be out of our hands. What did the prodigal son find inside his room? His boots and sword, a tiny monkey chained to an iron ball. That's a little comment that the painter makes about sexuality. A tiny monkey chained to an iron ball. I know what he means. A bed and forgetfulness. And then I noticed that when you were talking about the great amnesiacs, prodigal son is one of those. He inherits forgetfulness. Third stanza. I have written poems lying in so many small beds. Sometimes a cross hangs on the inside of the door. Mostly the dark of early dawn is in the room. I've written poems lying in so many small beds. You know, in your 20s, I lived in New York, and I had a tiny little bed I rented for the week from a woman who used the apartment on weekends, and she didn't know that I had no other place to live, and so I slept in the Grand Central Station on the weekends. And I found an old friend of mine. It turns out we slept in Grand Central Station the same night. I've written poems lying in so many small beds. Sometimes a cross hangs on the inside of the door. Mostly the dark of early dawn is in the room. Some say, I got to change the subject again, don't I? Some say farmers have taken on themselves the crime of saving and sowing wheat. And bakers have taken on themselves the crime of baking the bread. That's an old tradition. When I put it down first, I said, men have taken on themselves the crime of saving and sowing wheat, and women have taken on themselves the crime of baking the bread. My wife said, please don't blame them anymore. I said, okay. So I changed it from farmers to bakers. It's the same thing. We're in a mess, it doesn't matter. You know. Some say farmers have taken on themselves the crime of saving and sowing wheat. And bakers have taken on themselves the crime of baking the bread. And that's an old tradition. When you first touched that and changed it in from something, it's a kind of a crime. This is what I say. I want what's owed to me. A voice says, we have our inheritance. Whose voice is that? Is that my old teacher? You understand? I'm typical. I want what's owed to me. And one of my old teachers, a poet, said, we have our inheritance. Whose voice is that? Is that my old teacher? Oh, what a glory it is that the winter snow should be so deep, that we know so little, and that the future should be out of our hands. Oh, what a glory it is that the winter snow should be so deep. That's what the people in cities all complain about. On the farms we say, yeah, all right, make it deeper. Sick of this fucking weeds and stuff. Let's just bury the goddamn things. Then we can shovel out our cars and have a good time. Oh, what a glory it is that the winter snow should be so deep, that we know so little. Do you notice how little we know? Someone comes in this room and says something sensible. Wow, that's amazing. How could I have gotten this old and not know that? Isn't that right? That's right. Yeah. Called a men's conference, you learn something. Oh, what a glory it is that winter snow should be so deep that we know so little, and the future should be out of our hands. All right. Well, I'm going to do a couple of, maybe I'll do one more of these, and then I'll do maybe a couple of horse poems, and maybe you can help me on the guitar. This is called Rameau's music, and a lot of these I've written to music. Rameau is an old French. It's such a joy to hear Rameau's music when the night is just retreating from the oaky branches, and the sun's enemy is throwing down his gloves. Last night I wept so long and deeply in my dream, because the pike were not returning to that bend in the river where I swam so often as a boy. Can you feel that? Last night I wept so long and deeply in my dream, because the pike were not returning to that bend in the river where I swam so often as a boy. Seeing that Jacob and Esau were both standing by their father's bed, the old fisherman sent hooks down and pulled the reckless boy up into the heavens. See, you can put Jacob and Esau in any time you want to. That's what I love about this. You can put a Buddhist in too, no make a difference. But I was originally going to write a whole poem about my brother and myself. And he was the favorite brother by my father. And I was the younger, ratty brother. And then I started to feel pity for myself. And then I wrote this line. Seeing that Jacob and Esau were both standing by the father's bed. Remember, the one of them got the blessing and the other one didn't? Seeing that Jacob and Esau were both standing by their father's bed, the old fisherman sent hooks down and pulled the reckless boy up into the heavens. Well, that was me. So what have I got to complain about? Some notes are as beautiful as snow on twigs. I don't really see much distinction between words and the bow being drawn over the cello. Well, what can we complain of after this? We've been warned that what we receive on earth is smoke, fire, wind, mud, and darkness. That's something said by the old Gnostics. You think this earth is so wonderful? You think Disney isn't a hysterical, creepy liar? He is. Because the nature of this earth is smoke, fire, wind, mud, and darkness. And if you don't want it, don't come here. But since we all agreed to come, We must have some longing for that kind of dark. Am I saying anything to you? We've been warned that what we receive on this earth is smoke, fire, wind, mud, and darkness. Smoke, fire, wind, mud. None of them are evil. It's okay. Smoke, fire, wind, mud, and darkness. But you know, they hate it in Florida. You know, you just give them a little bit of that and fucking weep into CNN, you know. Isn't that right? These fuckers can't even let their house be blown down without calling up somebody, you know. You're not smiling at all at me. You must be from Florida. Huh? All right, so the last stanza. It's all right to fly into the fire like a moth. People say if you want the magic thing hidden from all others, you'll have to live a life full of exaltation. And I don't know, another buzz. I'm sick of moths flying into fires, actually. So, you know, it's so easy for them. And the Muslims think it's a big deal. They're always mentioning it. So I could say it's all right to balance on the top of a pole. People say if you want the magic thing hidden from all others, you'll have to live a life full of exaltation. I think it's better, don't you think so, on top of a pole? All right, here's one that Martine looked at the other day, and it begins, God crouches at night over a single pistachio. But that's what's so beautiful about English. Some places, you know, they only have one word like nut, you know, or something. But we got all these weird words. I don't know where the hell we got them all. Pistachio, where did that come from? God crouches at night over a single pistachio. I could end the poem right there. It's finished. But, you know, I'm a farmer, so I keep plowing the field, you know. Right? You thought that was... What? I should put it in? Yeah. Well, I'll make a note. I can't promise, you know, but I'll make a note. Yeah, just shut up, Robert. Keep plowing the field, right? God crouches at night over a single pistachio. The vastness of the Wind River Range in Wyoming has no more grandeur than the waist of a child. The vastness of the Wind River Range in Wyoming has no more grandeur than the waist of a child. Second stanza. Haydn tells us that we've inherited a mansion on one of the Georgia Sea Islands. Then the last note burns down the courthouse and all the records. Who's laughing over there? Good laugher, good laugher. I'll read it again because it's so good, you know. But a lot of people try to get Haydn in the poem and they can't do it. Haydn tells us that we've inherited a mansion on one of the Georgia Sea Islands. Then the last note burns down the courthouse and all the records. So you're left with your little farm, you know. And here's a poem, a stanza that I wrote for David Whetstone, the sitar player. And he's often up here. And David comes and plays for us sometimes in the morning. And those strings are so strong. And he has to press them down like this. And you'll see these cracks right across the skin from having pressed down those heavy things. So it says, everyone who presses down the strings with his own fingers is on his way to heaven. The pain in the fingertips goes toward healing the crimes the hands have done. Everyone who presses down the strings with his own fingers is on the way to heaven. The pain in the fingertips goes toward healing the crimes the hands have done. Let's give up the notion that great music is a way of praising human beings. Let's give that up. It's good to agree that one drop of ocean water holds all of Kierkegaard's prayers. I don't know what that does. It just brings in the nature and human beings, boom, like that. It's good to agree that one drop of ocean water holds all of Kierkegaard's prayers. When I hear the sitar give out the story of his life, I know it's telling me how to behave, while kissing the dear one's feet to weep over my wasted life. When I hear the sitar give out the story of its life, have you heard that? Oh, wow. I know it's telling me how to behave, while kissing the dear one's feet to weep over my wasted life. Last stanza. Another, I mentioned to you that you address yourself in the last stanza. You can't do that, and they often do that, and it's very strange in a way. But Robert, this poem will soon be over, and you are like a twig trembling on the lip of the falls. Like a note of music, you are about to become nothing. You see, it's better for someone else to tell me that than for me to say it, isn't it? That's a tradition. Someone more intelligent than you reads your poem and then says, you know, Robert, I have another one that I wrote and it said something, and the same voice said, Robert, you know, the images in these poems are fairly good. It's probably the best that anyone can do who is still living in the old inn of desire. Probably as good as anyone can do who is still living in the old inn of desire. So I was going to call the book The Old Inn of Desire, but I decided against it. Robert, this poem will soon be over, and you are like a twig trembling on the lip of the falls. Like a note of music, you are about to become nothing. All right, I'll give you another one which says something like, I read you a couple of the sort of talky poems last time. You liked one of them. I enjoyed very much the care with which you listened to my poems. I could feel it. The drum says that the night we die will be a long night. It's all right if the children have time to play. Tell the grown-ups they can pull the curtains around the bed tonight. The old man wants to know how the war ended. The young girl wants her breasts to cause the sun to rise. The thinker wants to keep misunderstanding alive. But it's all right if the earthly monk is buried near the altar. It's all right if the singer fails to turn up for her concert. It's good if the fat old couple keeps swirling around. It's good if the fat old couple keeps swirling around. Let the parents sing over the cradle every night. Let the pelicans go on living in their stickly nests. Let the duck go on loving the mud around her feet. It's all right if the ant always remembers his way home. It's all right if Bach keeps reaching for the same note. And then I said, it's all right if we turn in all our keys tonight. But I remembered I read it the other day, so I said, it's in another poem. So I found it, and I said, I can't do that. So I changed it tonight. It's all right if the ant always remembers his way home. Isn't that okay? It's all right if Bach keeps reaching for the same note. It's all right if we knock the ladder away from the house tonight. It's all right if we knock the ladder away from the house tonight. Even if you are a Puritan, it would be all right to join the lovers in their ruined house tonight. Even if you are a Puritan, it'd be all right to join the lovers in their ruined house tonight. It's good if you become a soul and then disappear. Thank you. He's back there. He's a good listener, the man over there. Would you like to come up and we'll do a couple with the guitar?
What would you like, Senor?
Well, I'd like to do a couple of horse poems with you, but let's try this little one, which is about dancing. You haven't read it. It's about dancing, and I thought of it because of the dancing we did last night. Last night, we took off our wolf skins and danced for hours, stamping on the old rug. We were sand heaps breaking up in someone else's hands. This is about a night that we were dancing in our small group in Minneapolis. It was when we sang the same 4 bars over and over that we gradually went mad on one precious foot that was never put down. You know, we were doing that last night, right? Singing the same bar over and over again. Great. It is when we sang the same 4 bars over and over that we gradually went mad on one precious foot that was never put down. We couldn't tell when we danced where the door was or where the corners were. We couldn't tell if it was our crying or someone else's that filled the room. We couldn't tell if it was our cries or someone else's that filled the room. What good will all this dancing do for anyone? It'll never do good to anyone, you know that. It's as precious as 100 hours of prayer. It'll never do any good to anyone, you know that. It's as precious as 100 hours of prayer. We had no idea why we were jumping up and down. Our legs belong to someone else. All our years of everything have come to nothing. Isn't he right with this now? All our years of everything have come to nothing. At last we lost track of both walls and floor. We lost all our coolness as we danced in the heat. All our years of everything have come to this. All our years of everything have come to this. I don't know if there is another poem about men dancing. I don't know. All right, now here's a couple of poems that I wrote to sort of Mongolian horse music,
Wow.
which Martine taught me to love.
See, if it's Mongolian, it's gotta be.
Yep. Hurry! For the horses are galloping along the road. Our death is being saddled now. They are tightening the cinch. Just keep shouting. My heart is never bitter. Come, only a moment is left. The sun is touching the sea at Point Lobos. Those waves that Jeffers knew will soon wear the Lincolnish coats of night. I got Jeffers and Lincoln into one stanza. Come, only a moment is left. The sun is touching the sea at Point Lobos. Those waves that Jeffers knew will soon be wearing the Lincolnish coats of night. You waited so long for me. And where was I? Whatever pleases the greedy soul is like a drop of burning oil to the heart. What should we do? Did you hear that? Whatever pleases the greedy soul is like putting a knife into the heart. What shall we do? When they saddle the horses, just keep shouting. My grief is a horse, and I am the missing rider. My grief is a horse, and I am the missing rider. The grief of absence is the only bread I eat. The grief of absence is the only bread I eat. Whatever pleases the heart is like a drop of burning water, burning oil to the greedy soul, which can't bear one moment when men and women are tender with each other. Whatever pleases the heart is like a drop of burning oil to the greedy soul, which can't bear one moment when men and women are tender with each other. Last stanza. You know, the writer of this poem has a thin hold on the reins. You know that the writer of this poem has a thin hold on the reins and is about to fall off. Hold on! The horses are galloping for the night. Yeah, hold on! The horses are... Hold on, the horses are galloping towards the night. All right, thank you.
That's the only part that worked, was at the end.
All right, now I've got one more here with that horsey stuff. All right, we'll do maybe 2 or 3 more and let you go. Now, in this tradition, you can use the same word or phrase at the end of each stanza. And I do that in a few of them, and I do it in this one.
What would you like?
I want some more Mongolian horse music.
Mongolian horse music.
And this is called Listening to Shahram Nazari. He's a great Persian singer who sings Hafez and Rumi that blows you out. That's good. I know the horses keep galloping for miles. I know the horses keep galloping for miles. I know that the ants keep lifting their feelers to heaven and planning new triumphs, but it's already too late. You got to figure out something to do with that. Already too late. It's already too late. It's already too late.
You want already too late?
Already too late.
You have to do flamenco style then.
Okay.
Don't look at me, look here.
I know the horses keep galloping for miles. I know that the ants keep lifting their feelers to heaven and planning new triumphs, but it's already too late. Good. When Nazari sings, I don't care if the second Adam comes down or not. I don't care if my words get you to cry or not. It's already too late. I don't care if my words get you to cry or not. It's already too late. The smell of coffee spreads out from the fire. The smell of coffee spreads out from the fire. And the wild-haired old women sing over the coffin. And they go on complaining and praying because it's already too late. Too late. It's already too late. I know sweet vowels and inescapable rhythms, and I know how sweet it is when a young woman is here and the old men think of God. But it's already too late. Too late. I have sweet vowels and inescapable rhythms. Donald said, what kind of rhythm is inescapable? I said, never mind. I know sweet vowels and inescapable rhythms, and I know how sweet it is when a young woman is here and the old men think of God. but it's already too late. My tongue never becomes bitter because my mouth keeps holding the grief pipe between my teeth. My tongue never becomes bitter because my mouth keeps holding the grief pipe between my teeth. Go on and conquer bitterness. It's already too late. Go on and conquer bitterness. It's already too late. Last stanza. Here I am. I'm all alone. It's early morning. I'm so happy. How can so much grandeur live beneath my skin? Go on asking. It's already too late. Go on asking, it's already too late. Ah, wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Already too late.
Sorry about that.
That was good. All right, how about, I got two more poems here laid out. Is that okay for you? Is that?
Read all night. I love these poems.
All right, let's do this one called The Dingy Playing Cards.
You just play.
This, okay. Friends, it's time to give up our hope for rapture. You know these insane fundamentalists? They believe there's going to be a rapture, you know, and means that they get taken off in flying saucers, and everyone else gets burned up and squeals and screams for 95 days, getting burned up, and all the Democrats get burned up, you know, and everybody gets burned up, and all the people that send them bills, you know, for their television, they all get burned up, and the whole thing is fucking totally insane. That's called rapture, you know. Friends, it's time to give up our hope for rapture. Saucers will not carry us away. Raskolnikov had to depend on the police to help him sleep. I don't know why that's funny, but it's funny.
It is funny.
Raskolnikov had to depend on the police to help him sleep. Our soul loves the dingy cards that have been dealt to the ne'er-do-wells. The old men put the old queens down with their smoke-stained fingers. Our soul loves the dingy cards that have been dealt to the ne'er-do-wells. Haven't we talked about that here? Mm-hmm. How the soul loves the little darknesses and the little rabbits down in their holes. And our soul loves the dingy cards that have been dealt to the ne'er-do-wells. The old men put the old queens down with their smoke-stained fingers. In the Cirque du Soleil, you know that one? I got one stanza out of it. It cost me $80. That's really true. Besides which, I bought my kids. That's even more money. Anyway.
You got one stanza.
Right. In the Cirque du Soleil, when the acrobats sweep out over the crowd, babies are being born who know much more than we ever did.
Lovely.
See, there's traditions, especially among the sensitives, as they call them, that babies are being born, amazing babies, who seem to have a knowledge that kids didn't have at that age. In the Cirque du Soleil, when the acrobats sweep out over the crowd, babies are being born who knew much more than we ever did. That may be true or not, I don't know. The yellow teeth of old jackrabbits explains a lot about the shortage of mercy. The caterpillar's walk reminds us of the Mongols galloping toward Korakhan. I don't want you to lose touch with the darkness. The yellow teeth, and I couldn't explain this to John Donhall, you know. What is all the yellow teeth of old jackrabbits got to do with the shortage of mercy? You have to have seen those goddamn yellow teeth coming down, right? And if God were merciful, he would shorten them so they didn't cut themselves and everything all the time. But the yellow teeth of old jackrabbits explains a lot about the shortage of mercy, and the caterpillar's walk reminds us of the Mongols galloping toward Korkan. Fifth stanza. After the funeral, once they're safe, the dead begin to miss losing at cards.
See, I told you.
Told you what?
They gamble.
Yes, sir. After the funeral, once they are safe, the dead begin to miss losing at cards. We know that Cain and Abel want to meet each other again on the plowed field. On this planet, nothing ever happens once. Especially if it's got some smoke, fire, wind, and darkness in it. It'll happen many times. You better get used to it. Hey, Mama, tell me about Cain and Abel again, would you? Finally hit him over the head. Oh, goody, tell me again, Mommy. We know that Cain and Abel want to meet each other again on the plowed field. Last stanza. Robert, there's not a single humiliation we could have done without. Robert, there's not a single humiliation we could have done without. We are still perched on a pole. What will happen to us depends a lot on the wind. Robert, there's not a single humiliation we could have done. Do you know that feeling as you get older? You realize what an asshole you were? Are? Right?
He got stuck on too late.
It's never too late. Never too late. I'll do a poem on that. It's never too late. No. There's not a single humiliation we could have done without. So when people get old, you know, they go around blessing the people that have humiliated them. Stop them on the street, you know. You said something shitty to me 42 years ago. I got this box of chocolates for you. Because if you realize how strong your greedy soul is, man, it is lucky that people talk to you in some way that brought it down just a little bit. Robert, there's not a single humiliation we could have done without. We're still perched on the pole. What will happen to us depends a lot on the wind. Now I got one poem that I want to read for you. But I'd like to do one more poem with Martine before that. There's a great Muslim poet called Shabistari, and he wrote a little book called The Garden of Truth, and it's only, about 7,000 couplets. Because these Muslims, they must not have had anything to do. I mean, whoa. We get 7 couplets and we call it off, you know. And he thinks, listen, I want to tell you something. The legs of the gnat and the legs of the elephant are very much like each other. I can't stop praising Shabistari for bringing the gnat's legs and the elephant's close to each other. Now I want Sunday to be brought closer to Monday. It's good. It's good. Suppose a bit of straw were able to marry the wind. Haven't you noticed those good marriages where the wind and the chaff go down the road together? Suppose a bit of straw were able to marry the wind. Haven't you noticed those good marriages? When the wind and the chaff go down the road together. When a poem takes me to that place where no story ever happens twice. All I want is a warm room and 1,000 years of thought. That's all I want. When a poem takes me to that place where no story ever happens twice. All I want is a warm room and 1,000 years of thought. Conrad said the dark swimmer did reach his ship. There's a great story of Conrad's about a swimmer going off from land and finally appears at the side of the ship. Conrad said the dark swimmer did reach his ship. If we sink into the suffering that's right for us, our dreams will have all that Adam and Eve wept for. You understand what is being said here? It's not that you get rid of suffering, but if you can sink into the suffering that's right for you. Our dreams will have all that Adam and Eve wept for. You know, Kierkegaard was a genius. And he is the one who said the principle of the 19th century, and it's going to be the principle of the 20th century, is ressentiment, resentment of everyone who is lucky in any way. Resentment. It's better in French. Ressentiment. Can you feel it? Ressentiment. Amazing things do happen. One morning, Kierkegaard explains exactly what ressentiment is, and the mouse agrees to marry everyone in the room.
That's so great.
Is it? And the mouse agrees to marry everyone in the room. Last stanza. Robert, those high spirits don't prove that you're a close friend of truth. But you have learned to drive your buggy over the prairies of human sorrow. Robert, those high spirits don't prove that you're any close friend of truth. But you have learned to drive your buggy over the prairies of human sorrow. All right, so I got one more I want to read you, which is going to be the last poem in the book, and I'm naming the book after that. And will you do it with me? Yeah. So this is, the repeating word is joy. And it's a little beloved poem in a way. You know, they had men's groups in Europe in the 14th century. And what they did was to always talk about the beloved, falling in love with the beloved. And actually, it didn't mean finding a woman exactly. That the beloved penetrates all the way through the male body. They would ask a beautiful woman in a castle, "Could I write my poems to you?" And she'd said, "What's involved here?" "No, nothing. You stay married, and but I just want to be able to use your name and everything." And she said, "Well, that probably make me look good." And she said, "Okay." And they did that. And the woman had it in her heart too, right? So that means that there's two things in the world. There's a woman's face, and then there's the face, capital F. Is that right? It's good to know the difference between them. You practice on the face first, ordinarily. That's why you keep remembering the girls or whoever you fell in love with in high school. That's how your beloved is going to look. It's called Stealing Sugar from the Castle. And when I'm translating Jimenez and Lorca for my book, you know, the Winged Energy of Delight, that's a form of stealing sugar. It's so sweet to steal sugar from big sugar makers.
Yeah, you steal from the big sugar.
So are we okay to end with this poem? Is this okay for you? I enjoyed being with you, believe me. I love looking out and seeing those faces coming along. And I love it when Martine plays with me. Are we ready?
Well, I don't know. I just love your voice without the guitar. I like sitting here with it, though. That's nice.
You want me to do this poem without the guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. Stealing sugar from the castle. We are poor students who stay after school to study joy. That's what we all are. We're poor students, and so we have to come here and study joy. We are poor students who stay after school to study joy. We are like those birds in the India mountains. I am a widow whose child is her only joy. I am a widow whose child is her only joy. The only thing I hold in my ant-like head is the builder's plan of the castle of sugar. Just to steal one grain of sugar is a joy. The only thing I hold in my ant-like head is the builder's plan of the castle of sugar. I don't know why you aren't laughing. That is funny.
That is very It's also scary.
Yeah.
They're looking at your head.
Oh, really? Just to steal one grain of sugar is a joy. And then there's the next scene here. It comes from the Beowulf. You know, and those Viking guys were down there. There'd be 150 of them in the hall, and they've been singing and carrying on and drinking beer and chasing the waitresses around and everything. And then a bird, and it's snowing outside, and a bird flies through the window. And then, whoa, there's incredible joy, and then flies out the other side into the snowstorm. And they said, that's what human life is like. That's good. What we're right in now, we're in the hall right now. But pretty soon we go through the other door. And then the Buddha say, that's not bad either. No beer there, but it's not bad either. We're going to spend most of our time out there. And once in a while you get to fly through the hall. Huh? That's right. Like a bird, we fly out of darkness into the hall, which is lit with singing, then fly out again. Being shut out of the warm hall is also a joy. Being shut out of the warm hall is also a joy. I'm a laggard, a loafer, and an idiot. But I love to read about those who caught one glimpse of the face and died 20 years later in joy. I'm a laggard, a loafer. You have to, try to prevent myself from bragging, you know what I mean? I'm a laggard, a loafer, and an idiot. That's very mild. I'm a laggard, a loafer, and an idiot. But I love to read about those who caught one glimpse of the face and died 20 years later in joy. Fifth stanza. I don't mind your saying I will die soon. I mean, I don't mind it too much, you know what I mean? But but you can't put qualifications in a line, so I don't mind your saying I will die soon. In the sound of the word soon, I hear the word you, which begins every sentence of joy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
That's a sort of a troubadour line. I don't mind your saying I will die soon. Even in the sound of the word soon, I hear the word you, which begins every sentence of joy. You're a thief, the judge said. Let's see your hands. I showed my calloused hands in court. My sentence was 1,000 years of joy. So I had many titles for the book, and one was Living in the Old Inn of Desire and so on, but I decided to go whole hog and just call it not 1,000 years of joy. That would be too grandiose. My sentence was 1,000 years of joy.
That's even more grandiose.
No!
You even got sentenced. No, I love it. Good. I'm just kidding.
So my sentence was 1,000 years of joy. So I'm a criminal, but I'm allowed to have 1,000 years of joy. Is that right? That's true of all of us. So I'm going to read you 3 poems here from a book. I did the Night Abraham Called to the Stars, which is 48 poems that are adaptations of the Islamic form called the ghazal. And that form, you have roughly 36 syllables to say what you want to say on any given subject, and then don't mention it again for the rest of the poem. You go to a different subject. You got 36 syllables about that subject. Well, that's the way it's put together, that form, and it's very beautiful in that it forces you to move around among your various obsessions. Whereas, as you know, Robert Frost had an obsession about walls, and he stayed on it the whole goddamn poem. And it's more than I ever wanted to know about walls, but great poem, great poem. So, and then they have anywhere from 4 to 14 stanzas. I stick with 6 because I'm just a beginner. And so then I've been working the last 4 years on the second part of that, 48 more poems. And so really it amounts to about 1 poem a month, which is okay. Because you got to rewrite the stanzas so often. You get started in something, and you put down something about your mother-in-law. You got to take that out. And, you know, it's hard to stay on this crooked path. But I loved what Siobhan said about the mood of poetry, which can be the lover mood, or it can be the, what did you call that? The warrior mood, what did you call it?
Urging the king to battle.
Yeah. And that's something that we don't have much in American poetry now. Most American poetry is written in the university classrooms, and so it's usually about how you were going to the laundromat and you saw a white dog, and then you saw somebody look like your old girlfriend, and then you don't get the laundry and you complain and go home. That's the poem.
You made it way better than it is.
So it's like Death of a Salesman with no salesman and no death either, you know. So, so I'm going to read you 2 poems that go into that mood a little bit of.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, we can quit right now. It's better than having any of the poems, I know. So I'm very fond of the story Tobit and in the Old Testament, and Rembrandt did about 20 drawings about Tobit, and was famous in the Netherlands in the century in which he lived. No one reads it anymore, but it's about a man who goes off to rescue someone in Mesopotamia, probably in Baghdad, and he lies down, and some birds come and shit in his eyes. This is not a good sign, and he goes blind. And so it's really about a blind man, and I was very touched by the story when his son tries to come to his house. Are you ready? It's called The Blind Tobit. Why does the prophet climb in the same ship so many times? Why does the sleeper visit other continents at night? The ship breaks up and Kafka is lost so many times. Another quality of the thing, he can repeat the same phrase or word in each last line. And you announce it here by doing it in the first line or third line. Why does a prophet climb in the same ship so many times? Why does a sleeper visit other continents by night? The ship breaks up, and Kafka is lost so many times. Mm-hmm. The high school teacher's ghost waits by the stone wall. Why does the ear always stretch toward the storm? The Pharaoh imprisons and releases Joseph so many times. Tobit, Tobit, your eyes are milky white. Every father is blind when his son knocks at the door. Tobit fumbles for the door so many times. All of you who have sons? Tobit, Tobit, your eyes are milky white. Every father is blind when his son knocks at the door. Tobit fumbles for the door so many times. Why do those who died by the stone wall at Gettysburg throw themselves against the Germans at Stalingrad? The novelist writes and rewrites his novel so many times. The general fights the same war again and again. The violinist plays the same toccata over and over. The conductor conducts the same piece so many times. Why do some love affairs resemble a blow of lightning? Are you surprised how often Zoroaster is reborn? The snow blocks the country roads so many times. That's out of my childhood, right? Why do some love affairs resemble a blow of lightning? Are you surprised how often Zoroaster is reborn? The snow blocks the country roads so many times. All right, so I'll do one more of those. It's called Growing Wings. And And I love to say things like, you can't do this, but then if you do that, you get in the truth-telling person, the Shivanu. They always, kick you out of the house eventually. So I got rid of that. It's okay. Anyway, growing wings. It's all right if Cézanne goes on painting the same picture. It's all right if the juice tastes bitter in our mouths. It's all right if the old man drags one useless foot. The apple on the tree of paradise hangs there for months. We wait for years and years on the lip of the falls. The blue-gray mountain keeps rising behind the black trees. Yeah. That's Cézanne again. He was always painting the same mountain. Unbelievable. The blue-gray mountain keeps rising behind the black trees. It's all right if I feel this same pain until I die. A pain that we have earned gives more nourishment than the joy we won at the lottery last night.
Better say that again.
It's all right if I feel this same pain until I die. A pain that we have earned gives more nourishment than the joy we won at the lottery last night.
Right on.
It's all right if the partridge's nest fills with snow. Why should the hunter complain if his bag is empty at dusk? It only means the bird will live another night. It's all right if the partridge's nest fills with snow. Why should the hunter complain if his bag is empty at dusk? It only means he will live another night. It's all right if we turn in all our keys tonight. I don't know what that means. It's all right if we turn in all our keys tonight. It's all right if we give up our longing for the spiral.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right if the boat I love never reaches shore. Yeah, I never thought that was okay, but I think it's okay now. It's all right if we turn in all our keys tonight. It's all right if we give up our longing for the spiral. It's all right if the boat I love never reaches shore. Last stanza. If we're already so close to death, why should we complain?
That's true. Exactly.
I mean, what more do you want, for Christ's sake? If we're already so close to death, why should we complain? Another quality of this is you can address yourself in the last stanza. And that's why they have pen names. Hafez, Rumi. But we don't have any pen names. So I have to call myself Robert. It's not a very good name for me, but can you do? If we're already so close to death, why should we complain? Robert, you've climbed so many trees to reach the nests. It's all right if you go your wings on the way down.
Right on. Beautiful.
It's all right if you grow your wings on the way down. And I know, I don't know, someone said last night, and was it you?
Yes.
That I'm writing the best poems I ever wrote.
That's right.
So that means I'm growing my wings on the way down. What do you think?
But the thing I noticed about the ghazal, as he likes to call them ghazals, is the fact that once you read it, then must be read again. Because it's the old medieval way in all literature and all speech and all storytelling. Is that once you hear the end of something, that's the only way you understand the beginning. Because all the old language systems is the point of a sentence was never told until the last word. And so you have to go back again. And the modern thing is to kill that. I said, the modern thing is, been there, done that. I'm out. Now I jettison my life in order to sacrifice everybody else so I can get to the other shore. And so he has to read again, and then you hear it differently and more beautifully each time. So I'm asking him to read again.
Okay. It's called Growing Wings. It's all right if Cézanne goes on painting the same picture. It's all right if juice tastes bitter in our mouths. It's all right if the old man drags one useless foot. The apple on the tree of paradise hangs there for months. We wait for years and years on the lip of the falls. The blue-gray mountain keeps rising behind the black trees. It's all right if I feel this same pain until I die. A pain that we've earned gives more nourishment than the joy we won at the lottery last night. It's all right if the partridge's nest fills with snow. Why should the hunter complain if his bag is empty at dusk? It only means the bird will live another night. It's all right if we turn in all our keys tonight. You know this thing, all you guys, turn in your keys now. If you're leaving tonight, turn in all your keys. I don't know what that's, it's so wonderful to say that. It's all right if we turn in all our keys tonight. It's all right if we give up our longing for the spiral. It's all right if the boat I love never reaches shore. I guess it's all right. I guess. You know,
Well, we'll keep one key.
You lie a lot. One lies a lot in the poem, you know.
We keep one key in our armpits,
Okay.
just in case.
It's all right if the boat I love never reaches shore. But, you know, after I'm dead, I'll still be on the boat saying, come on, row a little faster. We'll get there.
That's what we're terrified of.
It's all right if the boat I love never reaches shore. Last stanza. If we're already so close to death, why should we complain? Robert, you've climbed so many trees to reach the nest, and that's true. Did you see that book of translations I did? It's called The Winged Energy of Delight. 22 different poets in there. And it was wonderful to see them all together. Robert, you've climbed so many trees to reach the nests. It's all right if you grow your wings on the way down.
Beautiful.
All right.